Hello, this is Joe Whitchurch, and this is Free in Three. Thanks for tuning in this evening, Wednesday evening. I like to do these on Tuesdays, but here it is, Wednesday. How time flies when you're having a good time. Well, I've been thinking about peace lately, mainly because I haven't had much peace internally. And an interesting thing happened to me the other day. A good friend of mine named Stuart called me up and asked if he could make an appointment to talk with me about how I maintain a sense of peace with God. Not the peace of God that we have because of Christ's death for us, but rather an ongoing peace with ourselves, with creation, with God, because of a right relationship with God. Well, he called me on a time when I had been up in the middle of the night from about 2 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the morning, tossing and turning over a number of items that were robbing my peace. And I did put on the armor of God. I prayed for the helmet of salvation and for the breastplate of righteousness and the whole thing. And I was able to get back to sleep. But his call came to me at a very nice time. He was encouraging me that he said that I was a person that he considered a person of peace. And that's very interesting because I felt very much the opposite of being at peace, even less than 24 hours earlier. So must have been a God thing. It certainly wasn't a Joe thing. But he shared a number of scriptures with me and he prayed with me. And you know what? The phone call conversation lasted about a half an hour. And it was so very encouraging to me to think about peace and being a person of peace or of shalom. And these days, everybody's worrying about everything from ideologies to politics to who gets what to who is with whom, when and how, and what did he say and what did she say and what do they say and what does this candidate stand for and that candidate stand for and this judge and that. It's a crazy world. But I was convicted about the words of Jesus in John's Gospel. I believe it's chapter 12. Yeah, verse 43, where Jesus says, they loved human praise more than praise from God. And I thought about that in terms of myself. How much of my peace, I think more about the fact that you don't want to be striving and driven to please everybody because you can't do it. And that's a peace robber, to be seeking the applause of men. But sometimes I think I may strive a little bit more unconsciously to keep the applause of men and to not lose it. And I care maybe a little too much about what people think of me. It's interesting, besetting a stumbling block for peace, because in the previous verse in John 12:42, it says that many of the leaders at that time, religious leaders, were believing in Jesus. And that was the context for Jesus saying this, because they were being threatened by higher up religious leaders for being kicked out of the religious establishment. And it's because of that Jesus said those words, that they loved human praise more than praise from God. So let's seek God's shalom, sharing the peace of God that is possible because of the cross where Christ took the punishment for our sin in his body on the tree. But let's also seek to keep our communion with Christ first and unrivaled, foremost, to have the armor on, to be prayed up, and to realize that we are living our lives for the applause of one, and that is God, for his praise, not seeking to earn it, but seeking rather to live in a celebration of the grace and mercy that we have received in Christ. So peace is an interesting thing, can be approached from a lot of different angles, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and fortunately today was a better day of peacefulness for me. Take care, and thanks for tuning in to Free in Three.